Hi, I'm Seraphim. Anxiety is something that pretty much every empath I've ever encountered has struggled with at some point in their extrasensory experience, including myself. And anxiety is a super unpleasant experience, but like most unpleasant experiences, it does provide us with a profound lesson. And the lesson anxiety has for us is one of self-love. So today I wanted to give you a 5-step process to help you transmute the experience of anxiety from one that feels very limiting to one that can actually be a tool for your spiritual expansion. Welcome to the Empowered Empath. Anxiety. First of all, I want to get something straight. And that is that anxiety is an emotion. It is not a mental illness. It's an emotion just like joy or disappointment or any other emotion that you may have. And that means it's not something you're ever going to get rid of. Trying to get rid of anxiety is like saying, I'm never going to feel X ever again. It's just not realistic. And anxiety, as I say, being an emotion, it's trying to teach us something. It's trying to show us where we need to be placing our awareness. Now, highly sensitive people, or empaths, do tend to be more susceptible to anxiety for a couple of very practical reasons. Number one, we're going to be picking up on the energies around us, so sometimes we're experiencing anxiety that doesn't even belong to us. Second, we're always somewhat aware of sensory overload, a little bit nervous about becoming overwhelmed by the sensory input that we receive. So there's always this underlying caution or anxiety around that. And just like everyone else, empaths have unhealed traumas and triggers. And anxiety very often is trying to call our consciousness, call the healing light of our awareness to these areas. So when I talk about healing anxiety, I don't mean getting rid of anxiety. I'm talking about healing the perspective that we're holding around anxiety that gives it such a powerful charge for us. And I'm going to show you how to use anxiety as a tool to deepen your spiritual awakening. Step 1, determine if this anxiety is yours to begin with. So I said before, as an empath, you're going to be picking up on the energies and the anxieties of the people around you. So the first thing you need to do is determine, is this even your experience? Is this your anxiety or is it somebody else's? To do this, I recommend that you use a blocking or a shielding technique. If you're not familiar with either, you can check out my Empath Survival Kit video or the blocking meditation video, and I'll link to both of those in the description below for you. But once you've determined, is this actually my anxiety? Once you've determined, yes, I'm actually experiencing this anxiety, just acknowledge that. It's just a matter of acknowledging to yourself, I am feeling anxious. And that's okay. Now, I want to issue a quick word of caution here. I'm always careful. I will choose my words carefully here and say, I am feeling anxious instead of I am anxious. And this is important because feelings are temporary experiences. So when you acknowledge that you're feeling anxious, you acknowledge that you are only feeling that temporarily. Versus when you say, I am anxious, you are in a way identifying with the anxiety. And your I am is sacred. So I always encourage you to just be really mindful of your I am statements. Step 2, stop resisting. Resisting anxiety literally makes the experience so much worse. So give yourself permission to feel your feelings, and anxiety is one of them. Just like any other emotion, you have to feel it to move through it. So I want you to bring your awareness, the next time you're feeling anxious, bring your awareness to what's happening in the body. Very likely, you will find you are bracing yourself physically against the experience of anxiety. Your muscles are tight, probably carrying tension in your neck and shoulders. So I want you to consciously relax your body, consciously release the tension and relax into the experience of anxiety. I want you to turn your awareness to the other sensations that are going on in the body. Some of these may be unpleasant. Your hands maybe are shaking, maybe you're sweating. I know for me, my hands will tingle or I'll lose feeling in the tips of my fingers. That's super freaky. Just be aware, just make note. Be present with what's happening in your body and give yourself permission to feel whatever it is that you're feeling and to move through that experience. Step 3, be present. Anxiety is the essence of our being, calling out for us to become present with ourselves. It's such an unpleasant experience, though, that more often we tend to turn our backs on ourselves and again resist the experience of anxiety. So instead of this resistance, be present with yourself, be present with the anxiety, and turn your attention to the thoughts that are associated with this anxiety. Start paying attention to what it is that you're thinking about and what is it that you are believing about those thoughts. You want to dig a little bit deeper. Anxiety is essentially a band-aid emotion, so it's covering over something much deeper. As we allow ourselves to feel the anxiety, we're present in the anxiety, we gain access to the deeper aspect and we can find out what's really going on. Examining our thoughts and challenging the beliefs around those thoughts is a crucial part of this process. Step 4, identify the true origin of the belief. Discovering the root cause of your anxiety requires you to be present with yourself through the anxiety and observe and question your thoughts. And this allows the underlying emotion to begin to reveal itself. Once you've determined what it is that you're working with, what that underlying emotion is, now you can ask yourself the most important question. And that is, when was the first time you remember feeling that way? When was the first time you ever experienced that emotion? What's connected with that charge? So as you begin to ask yourself this, allow anything to come forward. Allow any memories to come up, any emotions to come up. If you feel like you need to cry, allow yourself to cry. Essentially, you want to feel whatever you need to feel so that you can move through that. Our awareness is an incredibly powerful tool that we can use for our own healing. And by turning the light of your consciousness onto these areas within yourself that require healing, you begin to transmute these energies within you. And this is how you can begin to use anxiety as a tool and create an experience of expansion. Come to know yourself better. Come to understand your experiences and why are you so afflicted by this anxiety. And in so doing, you can begin to move in very intentional ways and in ways that support your experience rather than make it more difficult. Step 5, act with self-love. Believe it or not, self-love is actually the lesson anxiety is trying to teach us. I know that it doesn't feel that way when you feel limited by its aspects. But anxiety is asking us to be present with ourselves in a meaningful way, be present in a way that we are actually there for ourselves. This means being self-loving enough to ask for what you need, and then to be open enough to receive it. Very often, what's most outside our comfort zone is asking for this help, receiving this help. When we honor our emotions and our anxiety specifically, we facilitate a healing process, and it's one that we may not even realize is happening. Then one day, we're faced with a familiar anxiety, but instead of turning away from it, we're compelled to turn towards it. We want to face that challenge and move through it. And it's not that the anxiety is gone, but rather we want to be able to move through it so we're no longer limited by that aspect. This is a process that has to be organic. You cannot force or rush this. It's only when you align with the vibration of self-love that this shift can take place. I hope this process helps you find greater peace around your relationship with anxiety. Every emotion that we have serves a purpose, and anxiety is no different. When we stop resisting and we can come to work with the energies in a way that supports our growth, We transmute the negative in the experience. Anxiety comes up in us when we have abandoned or rejected parts of ourselves that we've either deemed weak or insufficient. The anxiety demands that we reintegrate these pieces and that we love ourselves anyway. And in this way, it offers us a powerful lesson in unconditional love. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and share with your friends. It helps me out a ton. Also, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I post a new video. You can also visit tarotbyseraphim.ca if you'd like to learn more about my practice or to book a personalized session with me. And to join the Empowered Empath Facebook group, visit Tarot by Seraphim on Facebook. Links to all that good stuff in the description below. Otherwise, I will see you next Thursday. Blessings.